to Valve where it's like there's this like freedom to really stretch yourself and not just be sort of like, oh, I'm just going to model this creature and then that's it. You know, I had to like learn how to do many things, kind of almost think of things differently. You know,
are the key. Nothing
why am I
else
doing
key.
this? Is it?
The law
It's not just because it's cool. I have to like find a reason. What is the value for the company versus like, oh, but it's cool. It's an artist. And so I think working in smaller teams, you have to think that way, and I think I appreciate that. You know, for the longest time, for 12, 13, 14 years, I was always wired to be, I'm doing this because it's cool.
That alone,
working at Valve training to kind of almost be more like a producer-y kind of a thinking, which is always a good thing because you're a little bit more pragmatic in your process. And so I think that, you know, that kind of mindset is made for smaller teams because you're kind of trying to take on many other things with like optimized time as your tool. Like you kind of want to make sure that every task is optimized, you know, because you're involved with so many different things. Maybe like concepting, you know, the alien creature, building it, making sure that it resonates with users and all that stuff, you know, user testing. So you know, it's just a lot more interesting things. But at the end of the day, I mean, I still love just character modeling, but I think all that other stuff helps. You know, I think it's good to kind of stretch yourself out so that when you go back to your focus with your chosen vocation, you're much better at it to deliver as a product, right? So.
No, 100%. And I love that you said that. Like, it is like looking at the bigger picture. Like even at a bigger studio where people are a lot more specialized, and sometimes, you know, we hire people for that one specific thing. Like, this guy is amazing at like dragons, right? And he only does that and all that. Even with that mindset for bigger studios, which is, I think it definitely comes with experience and being involved in so many different projects. And once you get more of a bigger picture of like the amount of things that we all need to accomplish, right? Because when you first get a task and you're only executing on that, and you're the best at what you do, and you're just focusing on delivering on that task, and sometimes you don't get the full picture of what everything else has been going on. And a bigger project, like even a big AAA, when you look at the amount of things that needs to be done, the people who actually want to be a little more aware and want to help and know the value and like, of course, like directors and means, and there are more people that can give you that information, but the people who want to serve the project are usually the ones who get more task and go on. Yeah, I love that you said that, because it's a very thing it's a thing that we don't talk about a lot, especially for people who are starting, where you need to focus on the craft, having a bigger picture, learning animation, making everything. I think we all learn just floating around. Right, and especially now that ZBrush is so big and so easy. It's a tool as a team.
Yeah, I'm super clean, rock jeans with a white tee. Songs from my knees, no fight.
Yeah, I think it just helps in general, like having even like what is it like to user test, be involved in how that is conducted.
When I hit the scene, they take pictures, call me cold.
You know, some might say an artist might go, well, that's just like, that's art. Well, you know, you're kind of really a Fortnite person building a product, right? Your own art. I'm never going to use your test my art. But, you know, to become a better artist in a production environment, you need to branch yourself out outside of this art and kind of see the other aspects of things. And I hope students are doing that. Almost like that diva mentality of like, just always fight for your art. It's a little bit trickier than that, is what I've learned, because I was exactly like that.
you how to put your work in front of people and listen to the small, like it seems pretty bad, but like listen to the cues of like, what is this person actually thinking, or what does this person actually think about my art? And sometimes you don't get that specific feedback, but you can kind of, I guess, user test it in a way of like just seeing how people react. And working for games especially, it is a huge part. Like I learned, in the job that art sometimes need to take the back burner into the results, I guess. Like sometimes you want to make the prettiest or the most beautiful piece of art when you just have to look into the reaction and what some things are caught. That's why you see in a lot of games where maybe the art is not amazing, but there's something that comes out of it. Yeah. Like they push it in some ways that the reaction is different than if it was a realistic person. Yeah. I definitely learned, especially in this past 2 years, of like letting go of some of my own, I wouldn't say culture, but like some of my own taste, just for learning what people actually like. So yeah, that's a big part.
That is hard, but yeah, it's needed.
Yeah, it's that balance too, right? You don't want to
yeah, you gotta also fight for something, right? But it's like it's always there. It's not just like this.
Yeah, and then building audiences is another thing too, because sometimes you are putting it out for, and that happens in games a lot, when you put something out for a certain audience that expects something, expectation. And if you keep doing it and you believe in something, you slowly build that audience to what you're actually making. So just going into VR, I guess, a little bit more, like how was that for you? Like you mentioned that you first didn't like it, but then kind of clicked, or you just wanted to try? Like how was that?
Yeah, so like, to be a little bit more detailed on why I didn't like it, I was like, first time I put it on, I'm like, oh man, this is amazing. It's like it's in front of you, but just from this. I mean, I still use Intuos, it's not even a Cintiq, but I'm like, I've been using that for like the most part of my career, and then all of a sudden I'm like trying to control air.
The goal is to cause an individual to become
really
subservient
hard
to an imposed control,
to
the point where he will perform acts against his will.
The silhouette has to be exactly the way I want it to be, and so I wasn't getting that with media, and so I kind of put it down for like 6 months, and then, as I said, I was like, I'm gonna try it again. Tried it again. Once I kind of gave myself about I'd say about a week, I kind of started seeing sort of techniques, and I was able to develop certain things to kind of circumvent the lack of control that I had. And then once that happened, I was like, oh man, that sense of excitement. That's all you need, right, as an artist. Like once you see the possibility of what you could do with the software, and it's hard. Like ZBrush took me a while, but once that happened, I was like all in. So when that happened with me, I was kind of like, all right, setting myself projects, and the more projects that I gave myself, the more complicated they became. The more I'm kind of like finding these methods to kind of like, how do I use scales? Okay, let's figure it out. Like, how do the clay people, Steve Lang, Brian Wade, those guys? Let's see if that will work in Medium, because that's a little bit more applicable what they do in Medium than in ZBrush, because of the nature of the technology, which is like SDF, like voxel based. So you can actually, whereas ZBrush is like pulling out like a surface, Mediums you can add on separate objects. So I was like doing that, and then it just kind of became a natural part of my process, because I'm all about like clean forms, and with Medium's layer system, I was able to kind of really create a system where I'm like, okay, primary forms, these are the simple shapes, and then you kind of just combine it and then whittle it down to like tertiary, secondary shapes and all that stuff.
First start using it, for sure you get that flash of that. For me, it took a couple tries. Yeah, like
something so new. It takes a while, and I was kind of like, well, I'm noticing like it's slowly picking up. But character artists, I was surprised. Like, I thought it would pick up a lot faster than it would, because it's like, yo, man, VR is like close to clay. But I think I was surprised by how slow it was. I think it's now actually gaining more momentum. But yeah, like when you started picking it up, I'm like, I got excited, like rapping Glauco or like doing hip screens with it. You got it, man.
It is something to just seeing that completely different vibe. For me, I think the learning curve is something that it's hard for people to get into it and just do something that, because you expect kind of the same quality, right? There's definitely a learning curve to get to the same speed, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think about just how the process-wise, the speed of where you get versus like now you get it in medium, kind of the same, or
for the stuff like primary, secondary, tertiary, you can definitely get it cleaner and faster in medium. ZBrush, no contest. It's like that finesse, the level of finesse and detail. It's like it's unbeatable to me. So I switch back and forth between medium and ZBrush, because you can just go medium, export to ZBrush, and then bring it back in, and then So it's a very non-thing. Because a lot of people think, well, medium, then what do you do after? Well, you can. It's just like any other software, right? You can like export out an OBJ, so and import OBJs. So yeah.
So using it as more of just another tool.
Yeah. It's just like, for me, Medium and ZBrush go hand in hand together, because again, form and then detail. And sometimes I bring it back for Medium for even more crisper detail, because you can do separate layers, position it on the surface, and then when you combine it, you get that nice crisp intersection that it's pretty hard to get in ZBrush. If you're doing scales and stuff like that, like Medium's amazing for that stuff. And then ZBrush, you get, I start putting like the sort of more organic breakups and stuff like that.
How was the process to developing the tool? Like, were you working with an engineer and feedback, or was he watching you work and brainstorming some ways of executing some stuff?
Yeah, no, there's pretty much all that. Like the team's really receptive to feedback, and it's not just me. Like the Medium community's grown by a large amount. Like you have amazing artists there who are giving feedback left and right. But yeah, like since I was embedded in Oculus, not really in the Medium team back when they were at Oculus or now at everything. I wasn't officially in the Medium team, but I was like, obviously it's a sculpting software and I'm a character artist. I'm gonna give some feedback. But yeah, we would. I'm good friends with Lydia, who's one of the founding members, and so I'd always give her like a wish list of, oh man, Lydia, it'd be amazing if we have this, and this, So it was great to have influence that early on in that software. So
I'm always curious, like when you're gonna start seeing more other tools combining with the VR world, because I know like even using ZBrush, finding that like even visualizing in VR, but still using that ZBrush would be something that I think a lot of people I would be interested in. I guess the media VR, but not using the control, like actually sculpting in the tablet, or like looking at it in the headset. I don't know what that's.
that would be amazing, actually. Like sometimes I just want to sculpt with the tablet in Medium, and with just the headset. That would be amazing. But yeah, like ZBrush, even like Maya or something. Like a lot of tools just to kind of visualize it in VR, like it's in front of you, is a good thing. So
that's why I actually invited you, so make that happen.
Sure, man.
thing that even when Glauco and myself we were using is like first thing you want to try to find is that snare patch. And maybe that play that snare is just kind of like move things around. Like when we first used it, move wasn't even
Call me the juice and you know I'm the stunt. Riding the car, I'm JEDiTRON. Tone them and laugh, you know it's the fun. Break it down the good green, rolling the get up here tight, girl, say I'm the main. Ice on the wrist, put the ice in the chain. Ride through the hood, yeah, I'm dripping the grain. And I'm sipping the same, I'm changing the lane. I feel tight cause I'm choking the vision messed up cause I'm messing with a D-boy, riding them big swords. Make your man gal wanna get on my team. She gotta give it up when she get in my car. I ain't Denzel, but I know I'm a star. Cause when I'm in the club, I be back in the bar. In the VIP bar, and be buying the bar.
Yeah, I think it was, I got the idea from,
you leave your around
two
me,
people.
gon' get lit up. You
Back
leave
when I
your
was
drink around me, but leave your
helping
drink
out
gon' get
Andrew
drunk up.
in
You leave your girl
Anatomies,
around me, if she back,
we
she
were-
gonna get
I
stuck.
was tasked with helping him that echo shape figure that he has. We did an exercise where we broke that down into different shapes, like sphere, block, you know, like your typical, how you would break down like the human form with like simple geometry. So, like that was already in my head in terms of how I would also use shapes anyway, like a separate shapes interlocking together. So that's always sort of how I visualize things, and so when I started using Medium, I would just, you know, it kind of became natural to start doing that as separate shapes. I'm kind of laying down, intersecting, and then combining. And then Sam, in my opinion, one of the best artists, CG artists, Sam I'm always wrangling his name, Poirier. If you haven't seen his work, guys, check it out. He was actually one of the first ones to start doing the layer system, like where he's like on separate layers, laying down shapes like it's clay. And yeah, of course. And then I connected the dots between what I was, you know, kind of doing before for Andrew and how I think about shapes. And ever since then, that's one of the main ways I work. I mean, I still work like sort of sketchy, sort of like the standard brush style for like sketchy armature, like the gesture line. Kind of just like do something rough, and then from there, once you're happy with it, then I start overlaying the separate geometric forms to create the final piece.
Yeah, I actually remember Sam's work back in the days when he was amazing at out of nowhere. Sci-fi. Yeah, it was disappeared for a while.
It's like masterpieces each one. Every time you put something out, it's so amazing.
For those who've never seen that type of technique, can you explain the ring
So for example, for this creature on the screen, right? You know, early stages of that would be, like say maybe blocks for the, like when I say blocks, like square stamp or square shape for the cheeks, sphere for the maw, you know, like elliptical shape for the forehead. So if you look at that, it's like you're kind of seeing, you know, big shapes, you know, which is my intent. Like I think defining those big shapes early on, as simple as they are, and trying to retain the essence of that even in the final piece. Like if you look at it, like the model would still be roughly sort of like a spherical shape, right? I didn't want to detract anything to get away from that. I wanted to keep it as simple as that, so that you're still reading it as such. So early on, I would just, you know, lay those things out, like, you know, those shapes would be sort of like maybe a square that's sort of kind of formed sort of wings. So those are all separate layers in Medium, and the beauty of it is like select each layer and compose it non-destructively, right? Before committing to merging it all, like a Photoshop layer. You can merge all layers into one. So once I'm kind of like separately modifying things, and this is still in the primary stage, I'll select every single layer, combine it as one, and then I start smoothing them. making it organic, like rounding out the box into sort of a more organic shape. And then from there, once I'm kind of getting a strong sense of the primary shape of the character, I'm going to start creating layers again for the secondary shape. And then, rinse and repeat, tertiary, and then until we get to this stage where, I'm just kind of like detailing using the blade tool. And then what I would do on top of that, I would those trenches that I'm creating, I would still create layers and start putting actual shapes where those things are, so that they're not just soft transitions. I can actually put like a stretched out ellipse where where those two forms are, where that channel is, and then combine it so that it becomes like a really sculptural detail rather than just sort of surface. I'm still thinking of it as form, right? And that's the beauty of medium. You can kind of just keep going down the form hierarchy as layers and just work with that, and it's amazing that way. I get like, I think, really clay-like results, because a lot of clay sculptors do that. They would sculpt that trench and then they would take a dab of clay, but like clay for the height, brush it or torch it or something, and then kind of run a kind of like trench there again and kind of pump it up, right? So kind of same methodology.
When you say layers, is that new tool that you put up when you that's why you use all different
Yeah, think of it like a subtool, right? Each layer is like a subtool, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, like with ZBrush being so easy to just like do whatever you want, just like go crazy. Sometimes people forget the basic form is what like the most important construction, right? Like the character. I think it definitely shows when you're saying like like put a elliptic or a sphere and a cube and preserving those shapes is like it's very easy to lose that in ZBrush, especially if you're starting and you just for the fact that it's so easy to just move things around and everything just looks like very round. So you see models like that where everything is just blobby and stuff like that. So that brings that into it definitely shows
Yeah,
it's the same thing with clay. Like even though it is hard, I think it's harder to sculpt in clay. It also just so easy to do whatever. So much things.
On the floor,
I like that. And I think it definitely shows the kind of difference of like seeing
like primary shapes, when it's like, every time I talk to a student, that's the most primary secondary shapes. Retain that throughout the rest of the life of that model until we detail, and you'll be good.
How was your journey this model to me is amazing stuff that you did to pull all your projects. I know you started to do more of those anatomy, a little more kind of artistic anatomy, a little more artsy type of stuff. How was your anatomy kind of learning further? I know you went with Carlos, he's a master of that as well. Was that what triggered for you, or was that coming before?
I think it was before Carlos. It was a necessity for ILM because when I got the creature modeling gig after being a hard surface modeler there, Andrew was like, obviously Andrew who's anatomy tools. He's like, no, you got to learn anatomy. So like, okay, reading all the books, kind of went through the typical kind of path of like a character artist, like, okay, sculpting in clay, all that stuff, reading books, collecting books, and just practice, like drawing practice, life drawing. I'm rusty right now, so I'm like, always trying to learn stuff. But with Carlos, what he really taught me is to not be bound by human anatomy, actually. So it's the inverse of that. Taking what I know from human anatomy and really, like for this guy, like making sure that it's not like a proportion where a normal real guy can just fit in that suit, kind of like choosing to distort and kind of play with forms cave I go, so more like kind of human those statues, right? So like I need to kind of like up my knowledge again to get to where I was back in the day, so I can do justice to those figures. So I'm kind of like catching up again. So I'm back in the stage.
Certain figures. You're going to like more of the statues.